practice. He met with the media a little bit earlier, so we'll talk a little baseball in the second half of this hour. What If Wednesday is going to back up to 2 o'clock. Going to do that at 2 o'clock, and we'll have our SEC football power rankings coming up at 2:30. So a busy Wednesday here on the Hunt Palmer Show. Let's dive right into it, LSU football style. I saw a statistic today as I was just combing through everything, trying to come up with storylines and interesting things to look at, and it surprised me. And I'm curious to see if it surprises you, the listener. Would it surprise you if I told you that LSU was the third-ranked rushing offense in the SEC? Maybe not, but it surprised me a little bit. When I think about what this LSU offense has done over the course of this season, I think about the dynamic play of Jaden Daniels and Malik Davers, the oncoming of Brian Thomas, the big points and big plays that have come largely through the passing game. And when I think of the running game, I think of a unit that's kind of gotten it going here a little bit lately, but that was awful against Florida State. Like that's how it's framed in my mind at this point. But only Tennessee and Auburn have run the football better than LSU thus far. And I think we're getting to the point where the statistics can be taken seriously. Most have some situations where they've played really poor teams. Most teams have played somebody that's really good. Sometimes it doesn't balance out. I would suggest South Carolina playing North Carolina and playing Tennessee and playing Georgia might be a little bit more difficult, certainly than like Missouri at this point, who's played Middle Tennessee and Memphis and has played Vanderbilt. Like it's not all apples to apples, but we're at a point now where statistics can tell some truths. And LSU's running attack has been better. You look at in just the SEC games against Mississippi State, LSU ran it 39 times for 163 yards. Now, Jaden Daniels was the lion's share of that. He carried it 15 times, which led the team for 64 yards, which led the team. He had 2 touchdowns, which led the team. But Logan Diggs got going. He ran for 4.5 yards per carry in that game. Caleb Jackson had the highlight reel run that we saw, and it was a pretty solid running effort on a day where the passing offense was outrageously good. In Arkansas, inside Tiger Stadium, you ran the ball 29 times in that game for 189 yards on the ground. That's very, very strong. Logan Diggs, that was kind of his breakout. 14 carries for 97 yards. That's 7 yards per carry for Diggs in that game against Arkansas. Josh Williams hit the 41-yarder down the left sideline, which was a nice play. Jaden Daniels chipped in with his 36 yards. So that was a strong effort on the ground. And then against Ole Miss, I think we know everything they did on offense basically worked. He had 37 carries for 223 in that game. Diggs goes over 100 at 5 yards a carry, and it wasn't like he busted a big one. Logan Diggs' longest run against Ole Miss was 13 yards, and he averaged over 5 yards a carry. Had the 2 touchdowns. Jaden Daniels goes for 99 yards of his own, 6.6 yards per carry in that one. So if you take LSU's 3 SEC games, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Ole Miss, 105 carries for 575 yards. Obviously, that's 5.5 yards per carry, which is excellent. 192 rushing yards per game for LSU, which is very, very good. Against Florida State, the running backs did nothing, as I mentioned. They ran it 12 times. They ran it for 49 yards, and 35 of the 49 came on one play. We rehashed that stat time and time again. You got stuffed on 2 4th-and-1s. Once was a sack, one was a run that you couldn't convert. You weren't good running the ball, but you have been over the last 3 games, and that's an encouraging development on this team because all of a sudden it's difficult to try to take something away. If LSU's competent running the ball, the offensive line is really doing a good job at the point of attack, which they have been, and you've got the backs that are ready to roll, and Diggs is kind of taken over in that spot, and you'll see some of Josh Williams and some of John Emery like he did last week, and maybe Caleb Jackson works his way in. But you know what you've got on the outside where you're a mismatch for just about everyone. And Brian Kelly was on the SEC teleconference earlier today, and he was asked kind of about the balance that the offense has struck.
It's absolutely crucial for any really good offense, unless you're in a specific kind of an air raid type of offense, that it has the components of an intentional running game because, it sets up so much that you want to do in terms of taking shots down the field and, controlling, short yardage and down and distance and things of that nature. So there's so many hidden components within the game as well in terms of having an established running game. So Yeah, it's absolutely intentional, and I've always felt, philosophically that I never want to be a one-dimensional offensive structure. I want to be able to have the ability to be equally effective.
And that's what everyone wants outside of, the air raid guys and maybe the service academies running the triple option. Everybody else that's not in the air raid or the triple options looking to strike some sort of balance. And LSU has found that, and it kind of snuck up on me to know that they're running the ball that well, because I wouldn't suggest that Mississippi State and Arkansas and Ole Miss are great defenses, but Ole Miss did put up a fight in the game against Alabama, and they didn't against LSU. And I'm trying to find a little bit of positive on this Wednesday before we get into really breaking down Missouri coming up tomorrow and Friday. A little bit of a reset here as we've ragged on the defense for 2 days. The fact of the matter is, and that you know this, and you've heard it, and we've said it the last couple of days as well when we talk about the defense, but the offense is elite. And I think when you think of the running game, a lot of times you think of the running game as helping the quarterback. You help the quarterback. You put him in advantageous situations in terms of down and distance. You run some clock. You don't put the pressure on him. He can just hand the ball off and you can run it. And that's all true with Jaden Daniels. You are helping him with the running game. But what I actually think of when I think of LSU's running game starting to find it is not helping the quarterback. I don't know that the quarterback needs a lot of help right now. What I think of it is becomes a nightmare for the coordinator. Because in this era of college football, there just aren't a lot of teams defensively that can line up and dominate you on defense. Basically, defenses are on their heels for the most part in this era of college football. Not every game, not every time. I wouldn't suggest that Alabama's defense was on its heels against Ole Miss. They held them to 10 points. They were in the backfield all day. It was a domination. Texas A&M's defensive line has just wrecked shop the last 2 games, so it's possible to do it. But for the most part, when you look around in college football, a lot of points are being scored. It's something that I've talked about a ton in terms of the biggest games that we play, the Ohio State Clemsons, the Clemson Alabama, the LSU Alabamas, the USC, like the biggest games of the season in college football, a lot of times are pretty offensive. And that's kind of the era that we're in right now. And so defenses are kind of, to use a bad play on words, on the defensive, like trying to make sure they plug as many holes as they can without really attacking. And that's kind of the way you've got to treat LSU. You want to come after LSU and bring the house. Jaden Daniels is pretty comfortable. He's been decisive, and he's been deadly accurate on one-on-one throws down the field. I mean, we've seen it against Mississippi State, saw it against Arkansas, and certainly saw it against Ole Miss. He's dropping balls into buckets, and those big athletic wide receivers are going to get him. And if you want to back up and make sure that doesn't happen, LSU's happy to take 6 yards on the ground, and that's what they're taking. Diggs did that against Arkansas at 7 yards per carry, and LSU ran it for 7 yards a carry against Ole Miss. You got to do something. And if you play LSU straight up, they're just probably going to be better than you on defense. Now, we'll see. Missouri's run defense is statistically the best in the SEC right now. Alabama's defensive front is big and physical. Auburn's defense has played pretty well. Alabama, did a really good job against Ole Miss. A&M, I mentioned them earlier. Like, there'll be tougher tests down the road, and maybe this regresses to the mean. But right now, when you look at LSU's personnel and you figure they've got 2 NFL tackles and a veteran center and veteran interior offensive line, a 5th-year quarterback, a 3rd-year running back, and 2 potential top 60 picks at wide receiver, that's going to be pretty good against just about everybody they play against. And all the highlights when you turn on SportsCenter or SEC Nation or whatever you turn on are going to be Jaden Daniels chucking it down the field and those guys making plays. But all of a sudden you dig deeper into the statistics and you go, they're running it like crazy too. Just strap in for some shootouts because that's what's coming over the next 2 months. LSU's going to be in games where points are plentiful. And I was talking to some friends about this earlier. The question was, would you rather watch LSU get beat like that, like they did against Ole Miss, or watch the Saints get beat like that? One can't get a stop, one can't get points. And they were like, well, we don't really like losing, but it's a lot more fun to watch when it's back and forth. Like, I don't know if that's much of a consolation prize to anyone here. I don't think losing to Ole Miss comes with much of a consolation prize, but it should be entertaining, and you really shouldn't feel like LSU's out of it. If the Saints get down 17 points, pretty much turn the channel over and watch The Office reruns. LSU gets down 2 scores like they did against Ole Miss. Well, just give us 15 minutes. Neither one is an effective way to try to win championships, but if you're just looking for entertainment value, LSU's kind of got that on the offensive side. They're clicking on all cylinders. Certainly balance has come into focus for this LSU team. We'll chat with LSU head baseball coach Jay Johnson in 15 minutes. When we come back, our guy J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports is with us. It's a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
LWCC is Louisiana loyal. They're elevating and celebrating champions of Louisiana. Marucci Sports, a champion of Louisiana. We'll talk to Jay here in 20 minutes. They got a lot of Marucci equipment over there at LSU. They got a lot of Marucci equipment in Major League Baseball these days, and it was founded in a shed in the backyard here in Baton Rouge. But now it's grown, and it helps our state in so many different ways. One, it's a tourism boon. They host the Marucci World Series every single July. Thousands of youth athletes, coaches, parents flock to Baton Rouge. Great for tourism, great for our economy. They also are great in terms of creating jobs in our state. They keep top talent in Louisiana working at that Marucci baseball lab. They also do a great job of attracting talent to come to Louisiana and work. Marucci Sports, certainly a champion of Louisiana. If you know of a champion of Louisiana, nominate them. LWCC.com/champions so that we can tell their story. You may know a nonprofit, a business, a person doing awesome work. Let's tell their story. Marucci Sports is a champion of Louisiana. LWCC is Louisiana loyal.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
When is a taco more than just a taco? When it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the...
Charles Hannegriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch. We are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza in downtown Baton Rouge. Getting you ready for a big weekend of college and pro football. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Moving right along on this Wednesday edition of The Hunt Palmer Show. Apparently, Beck is telling me off the air that they're going to test all iPhones, some emergency alert system, in like 3.5 minutes. And who knows, at that point, because so many of us have them, like, the world may end. But if something happens on the radio, we'll figure it out. I have no idea what this test situation is, how long it takes, what it sounds like, if it's actually going to happen. I have none of that information. But we'll just try to power through it with our guy, JD Piquel of On3 Sports. He's the host of The Hard Count on On3's YouTube channel. He joins us every Wednesday. How are you, sir?
I got AirPods in, baby. So if this alert thing happens and if it just blows out the eardrums, nobody else I'd want to be on the air with when that all goes down. So hey, come hell or high water, we're talking ball, baby.
It was nice chatting with you over the last couple of years. If this is the last time, we'll see. We'll just see how far we can make it. You got any suggestions for LSU's defense?
Man, that's a great question. I'm sure there are a lot of suggestions being given to Matt House, whether they're warranted or unwarranted at this point in time, or invited or uninvited, I guess, at this point in time. The thing that I'm curious about, man, is like we talked about it on our show this morning. It would be different if there was like just a drastic personnel issue for LSU, but like I don't look at their roster and say, "Yep, there's no ballers on that side of the football." Like there's Harold Perkins, who, I mean, it was a lot of people's, I'm sure, trendy pick to be like the defensive player to be in the Heisman Trophy conversation coming into this year. You got Mason Smith, and their big thing expected of him. You got Mekhi Winga. So, like, there's a lot of Jimmies and Joes, and I understand the secondary's got a lot of pieces that are being replaced. But just overall, I think that the biggest concern is like, hey, why aren't we able to at least kind of scrounge something together with all these beasts we got on the front seven and get to the quarterback a little bit more frequently? So it's very much so easier said than done, but yeah, it's a little bit shocking and very un-LSU like that we're talking about them in this light right now.
Just need to get a stop or two here or there. Your team's putting
that
up
wasn't
50.
bad.
Is that it? I'm hearing some
that?
stuff.
That's not bad.
I've got
Easy.
Beck's phone's going off. I don't think mine's doing anything at the moment. So yeah, that was it.
Hey,
nothing
that was
to
nothing.
it.
That was the greatest play action of all time.
Oh goodness! All right, we're all good. Let's keep it rolling here.
Let's go.
Georgia wins another close one. They were kind of up against it against South Carolina, kind of up against it against Auburn. Is this a gritty team that's finding a way to win, or is it a flawed team that's not being exposed because their competition's not very good?
You know, I think it's a young team in some very key areas that was really experienced in those same areas last year and is having to find their sea legs this year. And so I think the thing we fall into when we assess Georgia, which some of it's fair, some of it's not fair, but we grade 2023 Georgia against 2022 Georgia, which makes a ton of sense in theory. But when you look at, you know, what this team is right now, like they got a quarterback who's still figuring out how to be the guy. You got an offensive coordinator that's working with a first-year starting quarterback who hasn't been an OC in a minute. Like all these things come together to like give me some grace when I assess Georgia. I do think there is something to be said for like the response mechanism they've had the last couple of weeks, getting down to South Carolina. Okay, hey, no panic at halftime. Let's find a way to collect ourselves and go win this football game. I think that served them well on the road when they played Auburn. When they played Auburn, quite honestly. I mean, they're down in that game. They can't stop the run. They're having issues in the first half. You know, kind of just everybody calm down. Let's steady ourselves. Let's go back to what we know. And let's also feed that Avenger that wears number 19 for us at tight end and make sure he gets some touches too. So I think all things considered, the talent level of Georgia, in my mind, is going to be something that makes it about Georgia in every single game the rest of the way until they play in Atlanta or if they play in the college football playoffs. If they get to those spots, I think at that point, then it becomes a little more about, okay, hey, can we scheme this up correctly? Can we do the right things from an X's and O standpoint? Because right now I really feel like it really is about Georgia versus Georgia every single week and playing to their caliber.
Do you think they're the best team in the country?
I do. And I know some of that probably has some good faith baked in, but when I look at it, I say, okay, what is true right now about Georgia? Have the best coach in college football today. And I understand Nick Saban's the GOAT, but today I'm taking Kirby Smart. They have the best roster, and if you want to make an argument, probably a top 3 roster at the lowest in college football. And they're a team that I think is still not what they're going to be just yet. So those first two pieces to me give them, you know, enough good faith, whether it's right or wrong, that Georgia's the best in the country right now. But we're going to get a good test here in Athens against Kentucky. I'm excited for it.
Well, I was going to go out west, but let's go there since you did. Is Kentucky a threat to go into Athens and win?
I think they are, and it's funny because I just said all this about how good Georgia is. I think in this game, though, for Kentucky to be able to win in Athens, this has to be like the light bulb moment for Devin Leary, because the conversation around Kentucky going into the year was, hey, we got Devin Leary, we got Barry and Brown, we got some dudes on the outside that can churn and burn. We'll be fine throwing the football, but can we play, well enough in the trenches to be able to get to where we want to go? Well, they just absolutely bullied Florida last week at a noon kick in Lexington, and Devin Leary's like at 58% completion percentage. So that kind of has to click, and they have to be able to be a little bit more complete offensively. I still like Georgia in that game just because of what they're going to be able to do, I think, to Devin Leary. But as a whole, I think Kentucky is absolutely a real threat. And I mean, we look at last year, Kentucky, even though it was a muddy game and it was in Lexington, like they gave Georgia their best football game outside of Ohio State all of 2022. So I think Mark Stoops is definitely not one you can look past. And I do not trust that spread for a second with Georgia getting 2 touchdowns. That feels like a lot. And I think Kentucky's physicality, too, is going to be a really good test for what Georgia has up front.
Let's take it out west. 3 top 10 teams out there. Washington gets by Arizona by a touchdown. USC escapes Colorado by a touchdown. And Oregon hammers Stanford by 35 points or so. Who's the best team out west?
I think it's Oregon. And I'd been saying it was USC for the better part of the last couple of weeks. But Oregon is just such a complete team in my mind. I think they're top 15 in both yards per carry and yards per carry allowed. They're top 20 in pass yards and pass yards allowed. I think teams take on the persona of their leadership. And I think Dan Lanning is, I don't know if you call him a rising star, because I think he's already a star when it comes to head coaches in college football, but I think there's going to be a lot of other big-time programs that want to get him away from Oregon here in the near future just because of what he's done there in a short amount of time. They're physical, but they can also score out well, I think, so far. And I'll tell you what, that game October 14th, where they go to Seattle to play Washington, that one is going to be very, very fascinating. I like Washington. I'm just not sold about what they have up front and sold on that defense just yet. So for me, to this point, I think it's got to be Oregon for how complete they are.
2 games I want to get your thoughts on in this coming weekend. The first is an 11 a.m. kickoff on ABC. It is Oklahoma and Texas, the final Big 12 version of the all-state Red River rivalry. Maybe you'll see Greg Sankey at the game. We'll see. But who's going to win that one?
Yeah, how about that? So we reported, I think, that he was planning on going.
Oh, I was kidding. He really is?
Graphic. I think he's legitimately pulling up. I think
that's such a move.
Hey, you go take one last look at the house before they give you the keys. You already got a down payment. You already got it all set up. You go make sure you check that bad boy out. Somebody on Twitter told me that's called a blue tape walk. Can neither confirm or deny. But that's what I've heard. I've heard he will attend. Yeah, I pulled it up on my phone here. Ross Dellinger reports he will attend. So how about that? That'll be awesome. This is going to be a fun game. The thing that I'm looking at here, Oklahoma's been pretty aggressive defensively, which, you love to see when you can create havoc the way they have. I think they're top 10 in terms of takeaways a game. But the thing that concerns me is I think this Texas offense is going to diagnose that really quickly and kind of jiu-jitsu, use their own momentum and aggression against them, and I think they can make for some big plays. I do think Oklahoma scores points in this one, though. I really think that Dylan Gabriel is the real deal. I think they'll attack the perimeter with some success with Andrew Anthony. So it'll be, I think, a bit of a back-and-forth kind of game. Whoever answers scores best will come out victorious. But I got Texas in this one because of what I just said, the firepower and them kind of using the aggressive Oklahoma defense against them. But it's going to be fun, man, kind of the end of an era and kind of the last hurdle for Texas when you look at rosters that will be in their arena from a talent standpoint.
Alabama headed to Kyle Field to tie a 2-point favorite over Texas A&M. How do you see that one?
This one's tricky.
Mm-hmm.
This one's tricky, and it feels like the game where you would pick Texas A&M based on what we've seen from Bama this year. We talked about it last week, Hunt. I can't buy that we've seen a dead Bama just yet, even though they've looked subpar at times. And, it felt like the sky was falling there for 2 weeks when they lost to Texas and then looked average against USF. I think they're kind of rounding into form. The big concern for me is how they play this Bobby Petrino offense with all the weapons they have. I think that really could give them fits. In fact, I think they will have some success with the A&M offense against against Bama. But at the end of the day, again, I think Bama's rounding into kind of what we expected them to be when we all got together at SEC Media Days and kind of had this conversation around Bama being that team in the West. So I'm going to take Bama. I think that line is what it is for a reason. I think it is close. I just worry about the A&M offense getting enough possessions with how Alabama is going to go downhill and force them to score.
Every single day, you can find the Hard Count on On3's YouTube channel. Every Wednesday, you can find J.D. Pickell right here on the Hunt Palmer Show. J.D., enjoy the football this weekend. We'll talk next week.
Hey, no apocalypse today, baby. Maybe next week.
We made it through. Battle through adversity. That's what we do around here.
There we go.
All right, see you next week, man. That is J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports. All right, we'll take another timeout when we come back. Jay Johnson, reigning national championship head coach. They start fall baseball tomorrow. We'll get his thoughts coming up next on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
My lunch today wasn't that great, but yesterday it was awesome because I had some Jersey Mike's, and they're a new sponsor here on the Hunt Palmer Show. We love some Jersey Mike's. Appreciate the folks at the Highway 30 store in Gonzales near the new Heritage Shopping Center. Stop on in for a late lunch right now. Grab one of those fantastic sandwiches. The cold subs are very, very popular. The original Italian got the provolone, the ham, the prosciutini, capicola, salami, pepperoni. It is fantastic stuff. I love the cheesesteaks. Yesterday I got the bacon ranch chicken cheesesteak. It's hot. You order it. They put the chicken right there on the grill, right in front of you, and they put it on that delicious fresh baked bread. It is awesome, awesome stuff. If you're not stopping by for lunch or dinner today, hey, it's great for catering as well. They can do the boxes. They got 12 subs individually wrapped, awesome for tailgates, or if you're heading out to a high school football game, or if you want to feed the office, they can do that as well. Get that cookie platter, brownie platter, and how about this? 20% off catering orders for Hunt Palmer Show listeners. That's pretty good savings. Feeding the office, 20% off. Tell the folks at the Highway 30 location in Gonzales that you're a Hunt Palmer Show listener, 20% off of your catering order. Invite you to download the Jersey Mike's app and stop by and see our friends Highway 30 in Gonzales. Make it Jersey Mike's.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust Poll of the Day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the Poll of the Day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luber for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy.
This Sunday, as we bring you 3 different NFL games, we'll start at the noon kickoff. That's the Carolina Panthers against the Detroit Lions. Immediately following that, we'll bring you Eagles, Rams, and then the nightcap, the Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers. So tune in on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
It wasn't a great football weekend here in South Louisiana. Not a lot of defense on Saturday, not a lot of offense on Sunday. It just didn't make people feel very good. If you need some good vibes, you can just head over to YouTube, watch some clips from Omaha in June. It makes everybody feel a lot better. I'm chatting now with the guy who's tasked with reloading the shelves and putting another awesome product on the field. We know he will. That is defending national champion head coach Jay Johnson of the LSU Baseball Tigers. He joins us now on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Coach, how are you?
Good, Hunt. How are you doing?
Doing very well. Have you redecorated the office? You got some new trophies, like some artwork on the wall, new pictures and stuff?
Got a little bit of that. Yeah, I welcome it. I welcome the updates for sure.
So what's it like now? I asked Kim Mulkey this question when I had her on the pregame show a couple of weeks ago, and now she's got experience with this, but what's it like coaching a group of players that has won as opposed to one that hasn't? She's done it before. This is a first for you.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of difference in the day-to-day. I think, we talk a lot about being process-driven, outlining a process of winning. And when you do that and you commit to it, it makes the winning and the success and the championships mean more. And so we've just kind of reinvested in that part of it right now. There's certainly times that the guys that were a part of that, I want them to enjoy that. I want them to have a chance to, remember they were part of something that was really, really special and have the maturity to move on to the next thing. And I think our players have done a good job with that. They understand that just didn't happen overnight, that there's a lot of days and blood, sweat, and tears put in the bucket, and have done a good job of starting to get reinvested in that. So the day-to-day here, to be honest with you, is not a lot different than it's been the past 2 years.
You just met with the media, and I saw some quotes coming out on Twitter, and one of the things you mentioned was your rising sophomores and how much they're going to have to take on as opposed to their freshman season. And 3 of the guys you mentioned were Jared Jones, Ethan Fry, and Paxton Kling. Speak to just how important those guys' development is for the team that you'll put out there in the spring.
Well, it's huge, because, you talk about building the team or building a roster. As we were putting this team together, you're accounting for their development. And I saw a lot of things through the course of the entire year last year, both in the fall and the spring, that we wanted them to elevate themselves and be a key role player on this 2024 team. And I believe that they can. I think the amount of experience that those guys got, along with Brady Neal, on a team that was as successful as last year's team was, winning a national championship, that tells you what we think those guys can be as players. But taking a step forward, that's how, you'll replace, a lot of the pieces that we lost. And that's about their development, their improvement. And it's been fun to get started on that, and excited to continue that throughout the fall and put them in the best place we can going into the year in 2024.
You talked about after your first year not wanting to be shorthanded at catcher moving forward because of injuries and all the things that happened that first year. You were really hurting at catcher, and that's certainly not the case with this year's team because Alex came back and Hayden came back, and we just mentioned Jared Jones and Ethan Fry were catchers. You mentioned Brady Neal as well. There's only one catcher on the field, and a lot of those guys can really hit. So what's the challenge in finding spots for those guys?
Yeah, we're not even really there yet, and I know that may sound foreign. We're so into what they all need to do to be better players. I think you're right. The common thread is all of those guys are really good offensive players, and all 5 of them. I think, we found other positions for Jared and for Ethan. I think Hayden's run, from, let's say, the back half of the SEC, through the super regional was exceptional offensively. I mean, he was, arguably, our best offensive player outside of, maybe Dylan and Tommy. So you want to get him in there. You want to get Jared and then 15 home runs in there. I believe Ethan is tracking, to be as good, if not better than, either of those guys, which is awesome. Like the left-handed bat, Brady, kind of a task we've put out in front of him is to take, Cade Beloso caliber at bats. I believe if he does that with his catching skills, he's a first-round pick in 2025. And then Alex, super proud of, the contribution to winning he made, hitting around 290, and obviously a terrific defensive catcher, moved the offense, was huge in his 3 at-bats in the championship game. I'm not worried about it. I think the fact that they all can do other things on the field and you have the DH spot, I think that will all take care of itself. And the other thing is, they've all had a little bit of injury history. And at that position, that's not really that uncommon. And so I think keeping them fresh offensively, keeping them all healthy, we'll have the luxury because we have the numbers to be able to do that.
We know Brady obviously missed the back half of the season and had his summer cut short a little bit. What does his fall look like?
Yeah, we're making some really good progress. Really good new trainer, Isaac Trujillo, put together a good plan for him probably towards the end of July. He is back catching now, so he'll play some defense this weekend in the inner squads. We're probably 2 weeks away from game at bats, but the first 5 hitting sessions, kind of retooling and reprogramming some of his mechanics to help him with the injury has been really positive. And he's now recovering better from swinging than he was. It was just kind of a nagging, re-aggravated thing. And I think we got it addressed. I think we got some new patterning that's helping, and now we're just progressing him back. So we're willing to give some time on the front end here of some at-bats these first couple weekends to make sure we get it right and so the injury doesn't reoccur.
Jordan Thompson moves on. Gavin Dugas moves on. That leaves your middle infield vacant. What are you looking for from some holdovers and some new talent that you brought in the middle infield this fall?
Yeah, we've had a good month. Coaching the infielders have enjoyed doing that both last year and this year to start out with. And we're in a good spot. Really like the way the guys handle the baseball. And, we brought in, 5 guys that we feel like have a chance to play in the middle infield. I think last year we were in trouble if Jordan got hurt. Luckily for us, he started every game for 2 years. But Michael Braswell, a transfer from South Carolina, has been exceptional defensively in all the drill work that we've done. Really excited about the stability we think he can bring there. Stephen Milam, switch hitting middle infielder who we were excited to get through the draft. Probably only because he's just a little undersized a little bit, but there's like real lightning in his bat. He's a terrific defender, a very heady player. Ryan Kucherak from Arizona is a talented guy that we signed who's been exceptional as a practice player and athlete, has a lot of things that actually remind me of Jordan a little bit. I'm excited to get into this period and get him facing our pitching and to see how he does there. And then, Austin Rolig is another one that's a real sure-handed defender and quality baseball player that makes really good contact. And then with Gavin Guidry, we're running that in the back again to see where we can get him. Obviously his contribution on the mound is significantly important to our team. So we're kind of managing that. And then I love Ben Napolt. He can kind of play all 3 of those places. And I think we were 15-2 in the games that he started last year. So you're not talking about just another player. You're talking about a player that helped our team last year, win games with his skills. So it's really wide open at this point in time, but we are in a far better spot from a depth standpoint.
You mentioned Gavin. I think you told the assembled media today that there's a little bit of a foot injury that may slow him down here, but what's the goal for him this fall and then moving into the spring in terms of where he allots his time?
Yeah, we're doing a very deliberate throwing program in getting him on the mound. this week for the first time. He may or may not pitch, competitively in the fall in terms of inter squads or those outside games. We'll kind of see how that trends. He's a competitive guy and a great athlete, so we want to give him an opportunity to go back at the position player thing last year with our, pitching injuries. Once we moved him to the mound, we kind of went all in on that, which was great for him and obviously great for our team. He was a huge part of why we won the national championship, but want to, give him every opportunity to try to be a position player as well. I think it just remains to be seen, does he slow the ball down on defense? Can he impact the ball on offense, take, really quality at bats? And, only time will tell on that, but he's a competitor and he's a great athlete. So I wouldn't put anything past him of what he's capable of.
When you look at your 2 years here, the contributions that transfer portal pitchers have made has just been astronomical, whether it's the bullpen guys your first year or this past year. Gage Jump is one of those guys, but he's missed time with injury. What's his health situation, and what kind of a talent is he when healthy?
Yeah, I love him. I joked with him, when I was at Arizona. I tried to offer him 2 full rides to come to Arizona. He chose UCLA over us. And was off to a good start as a freshman, then got injured and then missed last season. He is about 15 or 16 months removed from Tommy John surgery. So these first couple weekends of fall, he's definitely on the mound and cranking it pretty good. So I'm excited about that. Probably the third weekend of the fall, we'll get him in a competitive situation for the first time, with the hope that when we play at McNeese and Louisiana Lafayette, that we'll be able to get him back into some game action. And no doubt in my mind, he'll be 100% and ready to roll come February, and will be one of the most important pitchers on this pitching staff.
Last one here, Coach. We appreciate your time. Mike Scarborough, TigerBait.com, was interviewing Luke Holman today and asked him if there were any local dining establishments he had been to that helped him gain a little bit of weight. And he said Panda Express. Can you point him towards some better restaurant options maybe here in the near future?
Hey, if he keeps throwing 4 pitches the way he does, he can eat wherever he wants as far as I'm concerned. But we'll see what we could do. We get him over to Phil's Oyster Bar or something like that to get him a little more indoctrinated into Louisiana.
Sounds good to me. We'll see you out of the box tomorrow, Coach. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, man.
That's Jay Johnson, LSU head baseball coach, national champion head baseball coach. I'm going to react to a little bit of that and give you some more information that we got from the media session that I didn't want to double up on here. So a little more LSU baseball talk as we close out our number 1 next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. Love telling you about Boudreaux's Electric, family owned and operated by Neil and Melissa Boudreaux for 40 years, installing Generac generators. They're a certified Generac generator dealer. They are a premier Generac generator dealer. They're in the top 3% in the country. Every single Generac generator that you purchase from Boudreaux's Electric that's installed in your home comes with a free 10-year warranty. Free 10-year warranty. Can't beat that. And you got to get one that's customized to your home. We don't all have the same size home. We don't all have the same needs when the power goes out. And we know that's going to happen down here in South Louisiana. If you want your whole house humming, that's one way to do it, and they can make that happen for you. If you just want the necessities, keep the house cool, and keep the food good in the fridge and freezer, they can do that as well. But you won't know until you get Boudreaux's Electric to come out and install that generator. Every single tech that comes out to install and service your generator is a full-time Boudreaux's Electric employer. They don't 1099 anybody to come in there for one job. Nope, they're going to be a full-time employee of Boudreaux's Electric. Call them at the same number that you've been calling for 40 years, 985-397-1562, 985-397-1562, Boudreaux's Electric.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $12,000 off MSRP or 2.9% for 72 months on all new 23 Ram 1500 trucks in stock. All with Bayou's 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Wednesday's Hump Day AFR, presented by Pluckers. We'll preview the weekend ahead in the SEC with Russ Mitchell. We'll take a closer look at the New England Patriots, and Matty Hudak joins us for a film review. It's AFR 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Appreciate Coach Jay Johnson for jumping aboard there for about 15 minutes. If you missed our conversation with LSU's head baseball coach, you can catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube, anywhere you find your audio or video. In YouTube's case, you can find that. Easy to find it on YouTube right now. Just go to the Hunt Palmer Show and scroll back about 15 minutes. You'll be in good shape. But I'm going to talk a little bit more baseball as we wrap up hour number 1, because Jay Johnson met with the media. Glenn West was there. Koki Riley was there. Scott Rabelais was there. Mike Scarborough was there. Few people tweeting out some information, and I didn't want to ask Jay about much of that because I thought it would be doubling up with what you may have read on Twitter or what I could relay to you here. I'd rather get some more information from Jay, so we did a little bit of that. But Tommy White not going to go through any drills this fall. He had a procedure right after the College World Series on that shoulder. You remember he basically dislocated his shoulder in the opener in the first inning, which was one of the lower points of the spring last year, for being honest. Him walking off the first base bag in the first inning of the first game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, with a limp arm. But if you noticed, he didn't take infield much last year, almost none towards the end of the season. Took it easy in practices. He wasn't right, but he could hit. So they sent him out there, and so he's going to get through a full fall, and he'll be ready to roll come January. He mentioned that Gavin Guidry got a little bit of a foot situation, but he's going to be moving back. I was thrilled to hear that Brady Neal is able to do some catching. I think there's a thought that maybe you could get him some work fielding some ground balls in the infield if catching is going to be too tough on the back, because he's going to be a great offensive player in time. And he's a really good catcher, too, but he needs that back to calm down. And he couldn't play at the end of last year, and then he went out in the summer, and that was abbreviated. So curious to see what we see out of Brady Neal coming up in the fall. A couple of guys that Jay Johnson has mentioned repeatedly as rising sophomores, who I guess are now sophomores, are Aiden Moffitt and Ethan Fry. He talked about Fry just then, said he thought he could be potentially better than Jared Jones and Paxton Kling. And that would be awesome if he was, because those two guys are immense talent. Fry's obviously very well put together. They got to find a position for him. I don't know that he was going to win a gold glove in right field or first base when I saw him last fall or early spring, but it's new to him, so he's learning. He's a really good athlete, and if you can hit, we'll find a spot for you. And it sounds like he's really hitting. And Aiden Moffitt is, by the same token, a huge talent, a guy that hit 99 on the radar gun in some preseason scrimmages last year. Now, in a game-like setting, you're more likely going to see closer 95, 96, 97 from him. But that's plenty good enough. He's just got to throw it over the plate and then get some variation of those breaking pitches. And it's just all about development. It's amazing raw talent that he's got. You're just going to have to see him develop. He had some really good strikeout numbers and numbers overall in the summer, and I'm curious to see how he looks when he gets out there. Gage Jump is a guy I mentioned there, and that Jay talked about the recruiting story with him. That's a really intriguing piece. You don't have anyone in your true weekend rotation coming back. Now, Thatcher Hurd became a dude. He was fantastic in the regional. He started the last game of the College World Series where you won. He's going to be in the weekend rotation in some form or fashion. My hope is that he's the Friday night guy. You figure Luke Holman fits in there at a certain spot because he was Bama's Friday night guy last year. And as Jay just said, he's throwing 4 pitches for strikes, and there's some real potential in Luke Holman as well. I think Gage Jump is a prime candidate to slide in there as a left-hander with a live fastball, good breaking stuff. He was really good early in his freshman season, and as he mentioned, he's 16 months removed from that surgery, so we'll see him in a couple of weeks in some competitive settings and hope that that's a guy who comes out of it and can pitch. It's not the same situation as Chase Shores from last year, who got hurt during the season. This is 2 years ago. He got hurt, so you're looking at a full recovery where you can expect him to help. You couldn't have expected Grant Taylor or Chase Shores to come back and help this year. Gage Jump is not in that situation. It's a name that you're going to have trouble forgetting, Gage Jump. But I think that LSU, while they don't have the star power right now of Paul Skeens, they don't have the star power of a returning Alex Lang or a returning Aaron Nola, they've got some real depth of talent as potential starting pitchers. And they just got to find the guys that give them the best opportunity. You've got some guys that are a little bit more proven, some guys that are a little bit more raw, and you've got some precocious young freshmen like Jake Brown coming up, and he mentioned to the media today that he would like Jake Brown to hit and pitch. So you're going to see some of that later this year. Brown's a really strong left-handed pitcher. He and Cade Anderson are two guys that I can't wait to see pitch in this fall because they've got a ton of potential. So, yeah, it hurts the Crew's in there and Morgan's not there, and it hurts the Dugas and Thompson and Skeens aren't there, and you miss those guys. But as I look at this roster on paper, it still excites me a lot. It doesn't have that star power that LSU had last year. It doesn't have as much returning proven production as you did last year, especially offensively. But you've got a ton of talent, as you would imagine. And Jay Johnson's now got this opportunity in the fall where you're going to scrimmage over the course of 6 weeks. You're going to play McNeese. You're going to play Louisiana Lafayette. And you're going to have an opportunity to get a lot of work in and a lot of guys to do a lot of things. I can't wait to see who plays where in the middle infield. I can't wait to see some of these new guys on the mound. But I'm not like thinking, oh, this is a total reset. Look what happened to Mississippi State. Look what happened to Ole Miss. That ain't happening in Baton Rouge. Not with that guy coaching and not with the amount of talent that they've got on that roster. They're not going to be quite as good as they were last year, I don't think, but that's a really high bar to set. It might have been the best team in school history. You don't have to be that good to win the World Series, and that's going to be the goal when they lace them up in February. But as he mentioned in that interview, they're a long way from that. They just got to go day by day, continue the process. It's a strong baseball program, and I'm excited to get out there tomorrow night to watch them for the first time. I promise you this, I'm not going to come back on Friday on a football Friday when we got a lot to talk about and hit you with some baseball, but at some point next week, we'll shoehorn 15 minutes in there. We appreciate Jay Johnson for giving us a little bit of time here on this Wednesday. Busy hour number 2 coming. Usually What If Wednesday in the first hour. We're going to move that to the first segment of hour number 2. I've got some sound from Dennis Allen that I kind of disagree with. And then we'll do our SEC football power rankings coming up at 2:30. So come back with us after Sports Center. You're listening to the Capital City's leader in sports talk. It's 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
a taco more than just a taco when it's Government Taco. Voted best tacos 3 years in a row by 225 Magazine, Government Taco puts the most delicious spin on tacos the capital area has ever seen. With creative combinations like the Magna Carrot, the Filibuster, or the Steak of the Union. Plus perfect tortilla chips paired with the best salsa and queso you've ever had. And happy hour every day from 3 to 6 p.m. and all day on Thursday. Government Taco, 5621 Government Street.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The importance of doing this Fortified program and offering it to people down here is, number one, the only real chance you're going to get to do this is when you put on a new roof or build new. And through companies like HUDCO, who's kind of leading the way in this thing, it's going to offer the customers a huge advantage in the insurance market and the price of their insurance.
You know, we're not looking to make a fortune off fortifying. We're trying to give you a better product than our competitor at the moment. I'm trying to do something that he can. I'm trying to give you something better. So a lot of these insurance shops, you're getting a re-roof, you're only paying your deductible. Let's sit down and talk about the Fortified and let's see what it does to your insurance premium. You're getting a steal.
Yeah.
You're getting a brand new roof and a Fortified certificate for your deductible, essentially. I think we're rocking and rolling.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. We're 8 minutes away from the start of Day 2 of MLB's Wild Card Series, coming up shortly on ESPN Radio, ABC, and Sirius XM Channel 80. It is Game 2 for the Rangers and Rays. Texas can advance to the AL Division round with a win. NBA, James Harden practicing with the 76ers today. He missed Media Day and the first training camp practice. He continues to push for a trade. Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers, his rehab goes on for his torn Achilles tendon, told the Pat McAfee Show he's well ahead of normal protocols, believes he can return this season. Until then, Rodgers can continue to be a positive influence on QB Zach Wilson, said says ESPN's Jeff Saturday.
He wants him to succeed, so he's going to give him tips. Hey, this is what they're going to give us. This is what this defense has always done. And the dude's played almost 2 decades. He gets what's going to happen. He gets how defenses are going to make adjustments. That will help Zach Wilson each and every week. It'll get progressively better because of that type of confidence coming from there.
Broncos releasing pass rusher Randy Gregory. He becomes a free agent. He had asked for his release last week. His $14 million base salary this season and another $5 million next season, fully guaranteed.
Hey, it's Michelle Smallman. Coming up Thursday, I'll give you my biggest takeaways from the second day of the baseball playoffs. It's on Sportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Hunt Palmer Show, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Thanks for hanging out with us on a Wednesday, a pretty Wednesday in the capital city. Some cool weather, cooler. I should not say cool. Cooler weather coming in this weekend, which should be fantastic. LSU headed up to Missouri, where temps could be in the high 50s for kickoff, highs in the mid 60s up there in Columbia. So fall's kind of close. I know the calendar says it's fall. It's not really fall. It's still summer, and that's fine with me. I like summer. But some cooler weather coming in this weekend. We'll chat SEC football power rankings coming up in 30 minutes. I spent a little more time than usual on those this morning, and we'll see how those are received coming up 30 minutes from now. Dennis Allen sound coming up here on the Black and Gold in 15 minutes. But now let's do what it is. It's What If Wednesday.
Time, space, reality. It's more than a linear path. Where a single choice can branch out into infinite realities. Follow me and ponder the question, what if?
All right, first one here. What if you could choose any head coach and set of coordinators from LSU history?
At the same time?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. I'll do it both ways. I'll do it at the same time, and then I'll do it. Well, and I should say, I'm not going to be great at this because I don't know who their offensive coordinator was in the early 80s. Like, I don't know who the defensive coordinator was in the early 90s. Like, I can do Lou Tepper for you. I got that figured out. I basically kind of go back to 2000 on this thing.
I don't think you would really want any coaches from the 90s.
No, I doubt that very seriously. But, you know, I don't know who was on Archer's staff. I don't know who late Charlie Mack's defensive coordinator was. Like, I can't go that far back. I think the obvious answer is very likely Nick Saban with Muschamp and Jimbo in their time. Now, obviously, Jimbo has done what he's done as a head coach, and his offense wasn't very good last year, and they had to move a new guy in that's moving the football a little bit. But in that time, Jimbo set some passing records at LSU. LSU scored, was good on offense, and Muschamp and Saban ran that defense really well. So if I'm taking just from that perspective, I think I got to go there. You could try to feed me Ogeron with Aranda and Insminger. That obviously worked very well. It wasn't as good before Joe Brady got there. So that's close, but I think for me, it's going to be Saban with Muschamp and Jimbo. I think if you were going to give me any head coach in LSU history, that's Nick Saban every day of the week. That's very obvious. I think that John Chavis did a great job. I think that Will Muschamp did a great job. I was very comfortable with Dave Aranda as the defensive coordinator, so that's the guy I would pick from my era to be the defensive coordinator. As far as offensive coordinators go, it's interesting because I thought Insminger was very good and did not get nearly enough credit for 2019. Of course, having Burrow and Brady certainly helped because without Brady the year before, when Burrow came in here late, the offense was good. It just wasn't great, and then it was humming thereafter. Jimbo was quality. Croton had one really good year in 2007, and that kind of fell apart. And then you had the whole Cam Cameron, you had the whole Steve Kragthorpe and Stadrawa situation. And so it's kind of been up and down there. I would probably go towards Jimbo at this point with the understanding that Denbrock's done a really good job the last year and a half, in my opinion. And the Ensminger thing was pretty good. So I don't have a firm answer on that. It's not a slam dunk for me. I feel really good about my Aranda answer. I could tap dance on offense probably all day.
What if LSU loses on Saturday?
Oh, man. If LSU loses on Saturday, their chances of winning the Southeastern Conference are over. It goes without saying, you lose a third time, your chances of the college football playoff are over. And I also understand that when I say the three-word phrase college football playoff, most people probably roll their eyes out of the back of their head after that defensive effort last week. But that's one of those deals, if LSU loses on Saturday, why college football is just not my favorite thing. Because there will be a large faction of people, not the majority, but a large faction of people that'll look at this football season and go, whatever, I'm going hunting. Like, that's third loss, like, that's just coming. Like, apathy sets in. I'm not saying that's a good thing. In fact, I think it's kind of a bad thing, and I'll still be keyed up every time they take the field. And when they coming out of the tunnel for Saturday night in Death Valley against Auburn, I'll be fired up and wanting them to win. And I think most of the people who say that there would be out would not be. They'd be just as fired up as me. But the third loss is brutal. And quite frankly, if you lose in back-to-back weeks to Ole Miss and Missouri as LSU, that's unacceptable on a lot of levels. So we'll see how it looks. We'll see what the situation is, and we'll see what the result is. But if LSU loses on Saturday, it's going to be a cranky town, a real cranky town.
What if you got a great deal on a house but heard multiple times that it was haunted?
Oh, no. I'm out. Don't care how good the deal is. I don't like the thought of dead people and ghosts, and, like, the whole thing is right up there among my greatest fears. Like, my mom had me watch The Exorcist when I was young.
Oh, that's good.
I slept with the lights on in my room, not like the closet light, all the lights on for multiple months, because that's horrifying. I can't deal with dead people and demons, and I don't want ghosts. I don't want any of that stuff. I don't know if it's real or not. I've never seen a ghost. I don't want to see a ghost. I don't like open casket funerals. Just get me out on the whole thing with the dead people. Snakes and dead people and a little bit heights. Those are the three that I just can't deal with. I'll step on a spider, don't care about spiders at all. I don't like those three things. Haunted house is out of the question for me. I don't want to go to the what's it, like the Myrtles up there? Up there.
Yeah.
13th Gate is people that are, I don't care about that. I'm not going to haunted hotels or something in New Orleans. None of that. I'm out. No chance. So if somebody tells me multiple, like if you're trying to like pull my leg and say, oh, it's a haunted house, like, okay. If that's like a thing, don't care what the deal is.
What if Hunt Palmer was on a reality TV show, competition TV show, I guess like Jeopardy or Wheel of Fortune?
Okay.
Which one would you want to be on, or which one do you think you could win?
I'd want to be on one that offers a lot of money first, and I think most of them check that box. I don't have any interest in any sort of like some of those ones that are just crazy, like Naked and Afraid or something. I don't know if that pays. I'm not doing anything out in the I'm not doing anything in the wilderness or any of that. I don't know what Survivor does. I watched the first season of Survivor and never watched it again. That was what, 20 years ago. I know there's like activities.
Yeah, they have like teams and they do team events, and then it's usually physical.
Yeah,
events,
I mean, I'm not going to beat the CrossFit guy or girl that runs marathons and stuff, but like I'm a functional person in terms of like, physical activities, but I don't think, and there's some strategy in like your relationships and stuff. I don't know anything about that. Like Jeopardy, I would get smoked. Like I'm decent at Jeopardy, but I can't beat those. And I get Final Jeopardy like 1 out of 30. So you're just going to get killed on that. I wish Who Wants to Be a Millionaire was there still, because that's multiple choice. Like I got a fighting chance on multiple choice for a reality show. I guess once upon a time, maybe a few years back, I'd pick The Bachelor. That sounds like a pretty good gig, but I'm set there, so we'll be good. I think
Wheel of Fortune. No, you're like
I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good at Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. I actually downloaded that on my phone like a few years ago when during COVID when there's very little to do. I'm decent at Wheel of Fortune, so that'd be a possibility. But yeah, I don't really want to do any of that unless there's a lot of money involved.
All right, last one here. This one's from Twitter. Faya tweets, what if George didn't buy the cheap wedding envelopes?
Oh, he'd be in big trouble because obviously at that point Susan wouldn't have died, which he was thrilled about. And he'd had to get married, which he didn't want to do. And I guess divorce is imminent in that situation. But I would like to see married George. That would have been good TV because he very much didn't want to get married. For those that aren't familiar, that's a Seinfeld reference. George killed his wife on accident because They bought the cheapest wedding invitations that were available, and it had like defective glue, and she licked all the invitations, sent them out, and it killed her. He would have gotten married, and he did not want to do that. So that would have been quite a twist for Seinfeld, but I'm convinced that those writers could have done anything, and I would have thought it was hilarious, because that is the greatest show ever on television, and that is What If Wednesday here on this Wednesday. Thank you, Mr. Beck, for that. 104.5 ESPN, along with Acura of Baton Rouge, teaming up to honor our military and raise funds for Folds of Honor. This nonprofit organization provides scholarships to the spouses and children of soldiers who were killed or disabled in service. To donate to this important cause, visit the website, 1045ESPN.com, and everyone who makes a donation is going to be entered to win exclusive prizes. Fold of Honor, to honor their sacrifice and educate their legacy. SEC football power rankings coming up in 20 minutes. LSU fell. They were number 2 last week. Newsflash, they will not be number 2 this week. Question is who jumps into that spot and where the kind of things shake out from there. That's in 20 minutes. When we come back, Dennis Allen met with the press. He's always riveting, but he had some thoughts that I have thoughts of my own on, so we'll get to those next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team been in the business for 30 years, redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Holidays are coming up. Can't think of a good gift? How about a new bathroom? Seems like it'd be pretty good, pretty well received. David Duvall and his team can do it. Have them out, go through that free consultation, and let's see what David Duvall and his team can do for you. It could be a full-scale bathroom renovation, which they can do. They're licensed contractors. It's the only call you'll make. Or maybe just a tub-to-shower conversion, something simple. It's not time-consuming. It's not overly expensive. It's something that just makes your bathroom look and function a whole lot better. They can help you on the closet side of things, too. If you got too much clutter, get your dream closet that's tailored just to your wardrobe needs. One Bath and Closets is your one-stop shop. Go to the website, see pictures of their great work, see the testimonials, and get that free consultation. David Duvall, tell him we sent you over there. He's awesome. OneBathandClosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge. Follow us on Twitter at 1045ESPN to cast your vote in the Citizens Bank and Trust poll of the day. Vote daily inside Off the Bench, live at lunch, Hunt Palmer. And after further review, Citizens Bank and Trust brings you the poll of the day via Twitter at 1045ESPN.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you.
On Thursdays, OTB. We get you ready for a battle of the Tigers in Como. Which striped big cat will reign supreme? Plus, Saints, Patriots. Off the bench, 7 to 10 a.m., 104.5 ESPN.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We got to find ways to score points. I think everybody knows that. And now we've identified the problem. Now we got to identify the cure. I think schematically what we're doing, I think we got to pay attention to. I think execution we got to pay attention to. What are we teaching our guys? And are they getting those things done? So there's a lot of things that we're looking at.
Better keep looking because the Saints are not doing anything on offense. And every single bit of what they're doing is dysfunctional. They don't run it well. They don't throw it well. They don't score. They're not good in the red zone. They don't do anything that would be considered functional at this point. And what's maddening about it is that you look at what they've got offensively, especially when Kamara came back this week, and essentially you've got the makings of a quality offense. Now, I can't sit here and tell you that the Saints have the whole offense healthy. They don't. Derek Carr is not healthy. And I can't tell you how much he's compromised because there's no way for me to know. The folks that go to practice thought he looked like he had plenty of zip on his passes, that he was not compromised in any way, and that he could make every throw that was necessary. I don't know based on what we saw last week. They did throw the ball down the field a little bit, but it was unsuccessful, and the vast majority of what they were doing was dink and dunk city. And Breeze made that work to an extent. He was efficient. He was accurate. They got the 4 and 5 yards when they needed him. He was good on third down. Like, they could do it when Breeze had lost his fastball. But they're not figuring anything out with Derek Carr at this point. So questions have to be asked, and they were asked of Dennis Allen yesterday, and they asked, are y'all too conservative at this point?
I don't think that's the challenge. We talked early on in the offseason about, cutting it loose and playing to win. So I don't think there's a conservative element to that at all. Hadn't been one time where I've said, hey, let's run the ball here, take it easy, and other than trying to get the ball off the goal line, I just wanted to get the ball off the goal line.
And obviously he's talking there about handing the ball to the fullback, which turned out to be a disaster. But I don't know that I think that they're too conservative in what they're trying to do. In fact, there have been instances this year where that was the opposite. In the first game, you've got a situation, you've got a third down, and you're playing Tennessee, and you don't run it and rely on your defense. You take a shot down the field, and you hit Shaheed, and you get it done. That's not conservative at all. That's aggressive. That's going to try to win, and we made a big deal about that because we thought they were conservative last year in a lot of those situations under Dennis Allen his first year as the head coach. However, I do think they may be too conservative in what they're doing in the pass game as far as the depth of targets. They're just throwing too many balls around the line of scrimmage. Half of Derek Carr's completions on Sunday were around or behind the line of scrimmage. Alvin Kamara cannot have 13 catches for less than 35 yards. That's too many times you're just dumping the ball off and expecting something good to happen after that. I'm all for getting your best playmakers the ball. I'm not for just dumping it off in the flats 15 times when it never works. At no point did you get guys out there and create a 20-yard play out of a dump-off. It never happened. So that's not aggressive enough down the field. And I realize a lot of things have to happen for you to hit a ball down the field. You got to block, which they've had issues with. Carr's got to make the read, which has been hit and miss. He's got to make the throw. Somebody's got to get open and get separation. You got to make the catch. A lot of things do have to happen for you to get down the field, and it's a low percentage play, certainly lower percentage than running the football or getting the ball in the flat. But there's no reason that an offense that features Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, should struggle to get the ball down the field. Those guys are explosive playmakers. You want to get the ball to Alvin Kamara in the flat 6 or 7, 8 times? Good. You want to get the ball to Michael Thomas around the line of scrimmage on 3rd and shorts and get 5 yards here and there? Those guys are good at that. I'm all for it. But you've got to hit some plays down the field, man. And I just don't think they're doing enough of that. The question is, are they taking advantage of Derek Carr's strengths?
I don't think necessarily. Look, I think anytime you have a new quarterback and he's in a new scheme, I think there's a growing process that goes along with that. It's not happening as fast as I would like for it to right now, and that speed has to be accelerated.
That was the one thing that you could point to in this offense, outside of maybe the offensive line, and said, okay, this could improve over time. Derek Carr's comfort with Pete Carmichael, Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed, Jimmy Graham, Foster Moreau, even though he played with Foster, Kamara, they haven't spent time together, so maybe it takes a minute to gel. And we still have that possibility. It just looks decreasingly likely based on the way they've played. I mean, they're just brutal to watch. There's just no rhythm. The play call, I mean, I keep going back. I'm doing a segment here, and the only thing that's running through my mind is that goofy reverse handoff to Derek Carr back to, what is that play call? There's just nothing they do that looks in sync or organized or functional, and it did the one preseason drive that we saw. Oh, wow. And then you get out there, guys can't block. Now Derek Carr gets hurt, and then he comes back, and they do block a little bit better, but they might be too conservative. There's so many issues you could point to and say that needs to be a lot better, and that's a tough place to be. And inevitably, when you understand Derek Carr's track record in the league, Alvin Kamara's track record in the league, Michael Thomas's track record in the league, what Chris Olave has shown himself to be in a year and a half, what Rashid Shaheed has shown himself to be, if it doesn't work, all eyes kind of shift to one direction. And Dennis Allen admitted that Pete's that guy.
I think he knows that. I think we all understand that, and obviously the play caller is always the first one that has the target on their back. And yet he knows that's his responsibility. And so he's fully aware of it, and he's working hard to get it fixed.
I'm okay saying, look, Trevor Penning's having a nightmarish time blocking. I can see that. I'm okay if the quarterback gets hurt and you've got a backup in there saying, this is just a little bit of a tough situation. And I can speak to those things with a lot of confidence. It's hard for me to just hammer a play caller for the entirety of a game. I can certainly look at that goofy reverse thing they did and say, nice try, but that was stupid. But I don't know the intricacies and nuances that go from Tuesday to Sunday of getting ready to play a game and putting together a game plan and understanding the flow of the game and what needs to happen here and what needs to happen there, what a great play caller is saying and doing in the helmet and headset throughout the course of a game. And I don't know what Pete Carmichael looks like or sounds like in those moments. I know what the scoreboard says, and inevitably it comes down to that. So I'm not going to specifically critique much of play calls or lack of execution or what was trying to be accomplished here or what was accomplished there. No, I'll just tell you need to score more points. And if they don't, there becomes a time here, and it's not far from now. This is not like a Christmas situation. This is like a next 14 days situation. If they don't look any better on offense in these next 2 games, you can bet your bottom dollar that Dennis Allen will understand that things are in a really bad spot in terms of his future with the New Orleans Saints. And I think he will make a change at play caller because they weren't good last year with Pete calling the plays. Even the quarterback situation wasn't good, and they're awful right now. And he doesn't have more time to wait. Brian Kelly said in his press conference, do I look at a guy like has time? I don't have time. He actually does have time. Dennis Allen might have no time. We talked about it last year. It's an organization that like stability. That's why they put this in place. They haven't been an organization that's fired a lot of people or changed a lot of deck chairs and changed a lot of responsibilities. They've been comfortable with who they've been and put those people in decision-making roles. That's going to change if you look up and the Saints are 2-4 and have lost 4 in a row, or they're 3-3 and can't crack 17 points. Because if this doesn't go well between now and the middle of January, the Saints will be in the market for a new head coach. And he knows that. This is not a league that coaches hang around very long. Tomlin and Harbaugh and Carroll and Belichick, those are the outliers. Peyton was an outlier. This thing cycles over quick. And they allowed Dennis Allen the opportunity to hire his offensive coordinator. He chose Pete Carmichael, and he's stuck with him in year 2. If it doesn't work, there are going to be changes made. And the first one's going to be offensive coordinator, and the second one's going to be the head coach. So I say all that, and I can very easily tie a bow around it at the end. They can get better. Carr can get healthier. Everybody can get on the same page. They can start to function as an offense better because it's not a massive talent problem. But they better. Because if they don't, we all know where it's headed. I'm going to give them the opportunity to do so. You're playing against a team this week who's been atrocious on offense, who you should be able to hold to a reasonable point total, and they're really banged up on defense, and their best player just hurt his elbow and is not going to be active. So you should be able to go up there and be competitive and find a way to win this game. It's a week-to-week league. Things felt really good 2 weeks ago. They don't feel good now. And I'm just curious to see if there are any noticeable changes that we can see in this Saints offense. We'll get an opportunity to check them out noon on Sunday. Saints at the Patriots. All right, we'll take a timeout when we come back. Your favorite time of the week. Time for the SEC football power rankings. Those are next.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Love telling you about FanDuel. You can snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. You've been thinking about joining FanDuel? There's no better time to get in on the action. The app's easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/1045ESPN and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issues, knowledgeable bonus bet that expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you or someone knows a gambling problem wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
His name was Cain. He had a horse along the countryside. I saw him ride. One day they found him.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water, they can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines, or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 38 years, they've been at it and will continue to do so. The Sherman family of front-to-back boat service.
Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers.
Sandegriff, join us for the Thursday edition of Live at Lunch. We are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar and Town Square Pizza in downtown Baton Rouge. Getting you ready for a big weekend of college and pro football. Live at Lunch, 11 a.m. weekdays on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There's some really, really tough news coming out on Twitter. Tough news. LSU football sending out a tweet. The Brooks family, LSU Athletics, and Our Lady of the Lake Health announced today that Greg Brooks Jr. has been diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer, medulloblastoma. Excuse me, and they put out a link to the Greg Brooks Jr. Victory Fund as he continues his battle. Just a heart-wrenching story. Understand that Greg was dealing with the dizziness issues in camp and missed some time, and went out there and played against Florida State and then played against scrambling, and then you realize he wasn't able to dress and go to Mississippi State and found out that he had a brain tumor, and they went in and it was a large one, and they were able to remove a significant portion of that, but there needed to be a biopsy, and obviously that has taken place, and they have found that obviously it is malignant and that he's got the medulloblastoma. This is the only information that I have at this point, just the tweet that they sent out, and it obviously goes without saying that all of our positive energy, thoughts, and prayers headed towards Greg Brooks and his family as he takes on this challenge. And you understand that when you hear, I've never met Greg, but you hear people that have spoken with him previous to this. He's a fighter. He's a guy from right here in South Louisiana, and he told Brian Kelly before he went in for certain of that. But we do have our SEC Power rankings that we'll get to here. And I mentioned this earlier. I spent a lot of time on these this morning, kind of going through statistics, going through what I've seen, trying not to just be cookie cutter and leave teams where they are. I want to move it around as I see fit. So we'll start at the top. It's Georgia for me at the top. I don't have a great feeling for their team because they've limped through a couple of tough games, but maybe they're just a tough team that knows how to win, that doesn't panic, that makes plays when they need to, even when things aren't going their way, and they find enough. And they've certainly done that over the last 3 years, and they've done that to this point. They're 5-0. They're 2-0 in league play. I've got them as the best team in the league. Number 2 was difficult for me. This was where LSU stood last week, and I kicked it around. I strongly considered 2 candidates, and I settled without a great deal of conviction on Alabama. I think we'll find out who Alabama is this week as they go to Kyle Field. The Texas game was not good, and they couldn't cover the deep ball. They couldn't really do much on offense other than the deep ball. I thought Texas beat them at the line of scrimmage and just looked like a better team in that game. South Florida was a rain-soaked experiment at quarterback. They were running different guys out there. They've gone back to Milroe. I don't really care about the South Florida game at this point. So, did they find something against Mississippi State? Probably not. State's terrible. Okay? Will it prove they've made significant strides if they go to College Station, push that team around, and win? It will. And so, if Alabama gets beat by 2 touchdowns against A&M, I'll feel like it's not nearly what Bama has been the last 15 years. Kind of reinforced the thought I had entering the season and after they lost to Texas. If they go in there and beat A&M by 10 points, 14 points, I'll think, okay, they probably figure something out. We'll see. But right now I've got them at number 2. And I've got A&M at 3, and I very, very strongly considered them at 2. If y'all are not watching A&M, I'm telling you, this is a defensive front that absolutely annihilated Auburn and Arkansas. And those aren't, college football playoff contenders. But listen to these numbers based on, especially if you were listening to me yesterday when I was talking about LSU's lack of production on the defensive line. A&M against Auburn and Arkansas, not Sam Houston and Rice, Auburn and Arkansas in 2 weeks, 30 TFLs and 14 sacks. I'm telling you, more times than not, having a bunch of 5 stars pays off. And A&M has annihilated Arkansas and Auburn at the point of attack. And they're moving the football. Number 1 in the SEC in total offense. Max Johnson's throwing it. Nia Smith making plays. Evan Stewart making plays. Noah Thomas making plays. Le'Veon Moss from right near our backyard running the football. I don't like saying it. They look good to me. They look really good to me. So we'll see. I'm not convinced that A&M's not the best team in the West. I'm not totally convinced they can't play with Georgia. We'll see. We'll find out on Saturday. Number 4, I've got Kentucky. They scored 45 on Vandy. They scored 33 on Florida. And Devin Leary hasn't even been that good. 58% completion. He's thrown 5 picks, which is a lot. We'll learn about Kentucky the next 3 weeks. Kentucky's next 3 are at Georgia, home Missouri, home Tennessee. That'll tell you where things sit with Kentucky. I've got them up 2 spots from 6 to number 4. Ole Miss, I've still got it number 5. They're 4-1, 1-1. Did they find their running game on Saturday? Did they discover how they were going to run the football, or was that just LSU being atrocious? Can that defense that played against Alabama, that held them to 24 points, that got a red zone interception, that did a pretty good job against Bama, can that show up, or did LSU exploit them offensively? We'll see. I think Ole Miss is pretty good, and I've got them at 5. I do have LSU at 6, right behind Ole Miss. That's 4 spots down from last week when we had them at 2, but I've got them at 6. Number 6 in the country in passing offense. Number 4 in the country in total offense. Number 7 in the country in scoring offense. Number 3 in the country in third downs. Number 6 in the country in red zone attempts. This offense is top 7 in the country in whatever stat you want to find. They're awesome. And that makes you hard to beat. When you've got a great offense, you're really hard to beat. In basketball, if your team averages 86 a night in college, you're going to be hard to beat even if you can't guard anybody. In baseball, if your team sets a home run record, you can be tough to beat on a given day because 7, same place I had them last year. They got a bye this week. Then look at this stretch. Texas A&M in Knoxville, at Alabama in Tuscaloosa, at Kentucky in Lexington. We'll see. Tennessee leads the SEC in rushing offense, but they're 9th in the SEC in passing offense, and they are 10th in the SEC in creating 20-yard plays. This is just not the same offense it was last year. Big plays down the field, Hooker executing at a high level. It just hasn't been that. But they're still running the ball. So we'll see. Got embarrassed in the swamp. Maybe that's an outlier, but I've got them at 7. I've got Missouri at 8. I know they're 5-0, but I've got them behind Tennessee, Florida, Ole Miss, Alabama, all teams with a loss. They've got the number 5 pass offense in the SEC, which is pretty good, and Luther Burden is fantastic. Cook's been pretty good. I just am still struggling a little bit with Missouri because they beat Middle Tennessee by 4 points and they beat Memphis by 7. That's still a big part of your resume, and I don't care what you did against Vanderbilt in Nashville. So right now I'm in a prove-it spot with Missouri. They can certainly do that with LSU, but I've got them at number 8. That's 3 spots up from 11 where I had them last week. Florida backs up one. They have been absolutely punked by Utah and Kentucky on the road. That's a big black eye for Florida. It looks to me like the Tennessee game's an outlier at this point. You didn't play well against Charlotte. You didn't play well against Kentucky. You didn't play well against Utah. Just one good game against Tennessee. That's not great. They need to beat Vanderbilt and South Carolina, who are their next 2 games. They need to beat them in a big way. Because right now, Florida is 3-2, and their last 5 games include these 4. Georgia in Jacksonville, at LSU, at Missouri, and Florida State. That is not fun. And there's a reason Florida's over-under on their win total was close to 5.5. And right now, with 3 wins, you got to work to get the last 3. They need to go ahead and do some work against South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Backing up a spot to number 10, South Carolina. Statistically speaking, South Carolina is atrocious. Listen to this. They are the worst total defense in the SEC. They're the worst rushing offense in the SEC. They're the 13th scoring offense in the SEC. Tennessee sacked Spencer Rattler 6 times, which is because South Carolina can't run the football. They get into third downs. Teams can come after Spencer Rattler. He's doing everything he can. His numbers are still good, but they don't do anything else well. Nothing. And that's why South Carolina is 2-3 on the season. Tough schedule, but they're 2-3. I've got them at 10. Arkansas, I've got at 11. That backs them up a spot. Their offensive line got manhandled again in the game against A&M. Luke Haas, their tight end, who went nuts here, is out for the year. He broke his collarbone. Rocket Sanders did play decently, but it's a bad sign when you're number 1 in the SEC in turnover margin. You're the best in the league in terms of creating turnovers and not giving them up, and you're 2-3. That means you're really not good because you're doing something that's kind of an outlier that's creating positivity for you, and you're not able to cash in. You're 2-3, best turnover margin in the league. Bad sign for Sam Pittman's Hogs. I do have them ranked ahead of Auburn, who has got at number 12 for the second week in a row. Auburn's 3-2, 0-2. They got Peyton Thorne involved in the run game a little bit, ran it a little bit this week, but they're just leaning on their defense really, really hard at this point, and that's tough. It's the number 6 scoring defense in the SEC. It's fairly good, but they got to score some more points. I thought they did a good job in the first half against Georgia of finding a way to move the ball, and that'll be one of the best defenses, if not the best defense they play, but they've got to score more. So right now I've got them at 12. Mississippi State is at 13. They are 2-3 overall, and they're 0-3 in league play. 5 league games to go. I think they're staring 0-8 dead in the face. They're at Arkansas and at Auburn. Those are the 2 most winnable games in terms of their opponent, and they're both on the road. They got Kentucky at home. They got at A&M. They play Ole Miss at home. I don't like Mississippi State's situation right here, and I think it may be bigger than, we might go 0-8. I think Mississippi State's situation might very well be, we got a bad coach. And we'll see. He continues to go to the podium and go, yeah, I didn't do a good job getting our team prepared. I got to do a better job. Well, quit saying that 3 weeks in a row. Like, one day you can go to the, I just didn't do a good job this week. It happens. We all have terrible weeks at work. It can't happen every week, okay? And that's what it looks like with Zach Arnett right now. So I got Mississippi State at 13. Vanderbilt, I think they're not going to win another game. They're done with the non-conference. They lost to NLV. They lost to Wake Forest. They're not going to win a league game. They're going to go 2-10, 0-8, and that's kind of par for the course for Vanderbilt. So my SEC power rankings in summation, starting at the top. Georgia's number 1. I've got Bama and A&M very tight. Bama at 2, A&M at 3. Kentucky at 4, Ole Miss at 5, LSU comes in at number 6. Number 7's Tennessee. Number 8, Missouri. Florida at number 9. South Carolina at 10. Number 11 is Arkansas. 12, Auburn. 13, Mississippi State. 14, Vandy. That's the same 12, 13, 14 I had last week, but only 6 teams remain the same. Georgia at the top, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Vandy at the bottom. In the middle of it, kind of throw everything together. See what you got. That's SEC Power Rankings for the weeks. I want to send congrats to Taylor Bro. Taylor's our Week 5 winner in the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest. He wins a Twin Peaks gift card. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 6 by noon on Thursday. Play the 2023 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045ESPN.com. Take a timeout. Come back and wrap things up. Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Unfortunately, led off the last segment telling you about Greg Brooks Jr. and his situation, been diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer. Again, it affects everybody. and Ochsner and MD Anderson have partnered together to create Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center to help in that fight. The collaboration is going to provide patients in our region with access to cancer treatments that are among the most advanced in the nation. Ochsner is the first and only provider in Louisiana that's got a fully integrated cancer program based on MD Anderson's practice standards, treatment plans, got MD Anderson specialists, their researchers, plus groundbreaking clinical trials available to eligible patients in our area. That expert cancer care being offered in 7 different locations across New Orleans, St. Tammany, and Baton Rouge. Ochsner and MD Anderson are going to work together to certify additional sites moving forward. If you'd like more information on Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center, we invite you to visit ochsner.org.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Scooncha, fall in the air. Fall is right around the corner, which means fall fishing is, which means it's time for you to take your boat to the next level with front-to-back boat service in a bunch of different ways. You want a custom stair job, you can have a ton of fun out there on the water. They can do that. What about a spot lock trolling motor? So you stay right where you need to in casting lines. Or sonar that's let you see the fish under the water before you cast. All of your maintenance needs as well. For 30
this Sunday as we bring you 3 different NFL games. We'll start at the noon kickoff. That's the Carolina Panthers against the Detroit Lions. Immediately following that, we'll bring you Eagles-Rams, and then the nightcap, the Dallas Cowboys and San Francisco 49ers. So tune in on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
All right, wrapping things up here on a Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Fired up for tomorrow's show. We'll check in down in New Orleans with the Saints. Luke's going to bail on us tomorrow. He's got dad duties, which we understand. Got a little RSV in the house. I know how that goes too. So we'll find someone to chat Saints with us, and we'll try to check in on the Patriots as well. And we'll start to take a deep look at Missouri. Haven't done a ton of that yet, so we'll start to do that in earnest coming up tomorrow on our show presented by Rouse's. But to finish the Wednesday show, let's play Take It or Leave It.
All right, first one here. Southern Miss accidentally paid their head coach Will Hall a $30,000 performance bonus he wasn't entitled to. They should take it back. Take it or leave it, literally.
So it's like when you were in school and you took a test and you got the answer wrong, but the teacher gave you credit for it. They usually didn't take the points back. At least that was my experience. Now, if you were entitled to more points because you did get it right, they would give them to you. So does that work with money here? I read into this story, and Southern Miss, he got a bonus because they went to a bowl last year and they won, like the Boca Raton Bowl or something stupid. And they won. And he was supposed to get his bonus for that, except there was a clause in the contract that says you get the bonus as long as your team's APR score academically is to a certain threshold. And they were 6 points short of it. So because his team wasn't doing good enough in Sociology 1001 and Greek Mythology 1431 or whatever, he wasn't entitled to the bonus. Now, I'm not sure if that bonus hits. They're like, hey, you need to write us a check for 30 large, bud. And that's probably easier to do considering the fact that they're one of the worst teams in the country this year. But I think it might be a deal where you just got to eat it. You gave him the $30,000. I think you just got to deal with it. I mean, are you really just going to ask for that back?
I don't think they can do that.
I think old Willie got over on him for $30,000.
The Tampa Bay Rays had the lowest attendance at a playoff game since 1919. That was the Black Sox team, by the way, with just 19,704 fans in the Trop. Rays fans stink. Take it or leave it.
I mean, you have to take it. That's tough because I'm always a guy that cheers for teams staying in their location because I hate seeing teams taken away from fans. I'm just gutted for like the Oakland Raiders fans and for just team. I mean, I hate that. I hate the Chargers had their team move an hour and a half, 2 hours away, even though that's not as bad as this. But like, if you can't get 20,000 in for a playoff game, I realize it was during the workday, but like, it's Tampa, Florida. Does anybody even work there? Isn't everybody there retired? Like, and you can't get anybody to go in there. The Trop's terrible. I've been there. It's awful. But like, it's a really good baseball team. Baseball's put the pitch clock in. It's a more welcoming environment. Things are happening quickly. And I can't imagine tickets are all that expensive. I just don't understand why you can't get 40,000, 35,000 in there to watch a game. That's wild. And people were sending screenshots of today because they're the early game again today, and there's nobody there today either. And that's something that the MLB is going to look at. And if Nashville's banging down the door, or whoever, Portland's banging down the door, or whoever wants a baseball team, like, you got to look at Tampa and go, hey man, you need to get more than 19,000 in. That needs to happen.
Last one, the NC2A Division I Council approved a rule change Wednesday that will effectively remove the restriction on bringing a maximum of 25 players each year. That was done in COVID time temporarily, but this is permanent now. So you can bring in more than 25. This will change the recruiting landscape drastically. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it for right now. I'll take it for 4 years ago. It's much different than it was 4 years ago. It's the same as it is now, and that's a good thing. You need to let everybody restock their shelves. You can't tell you can have unlimited transfers out, but you can only bring 25 in. It can't work like that. So if you got guys transferring out, you have to allow them to come back in. It's a wild way to do things, and I think it's pretty unfair to college coaches. I understand they get a lot of money and all that kind of stuff, but it's very difficult to do. LSU should be in a position year in and year out to make that work, but it's just tough. So we'll see, but I think that's it's something that has to be done because you can't allow 40 guys to transfer out and say, hey, you can only bring in 25, by the way. That doesn't work mathematically speaking. So that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Wednesday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Open the show up talking about LSU running the football. They're actually third in the SEC in rushing this season, which surprised me a little bit. J.D. Pickell of On3 Sports talking college football with us at 1:15. Jay Johnson, head coach of the defending national champs. They open fall practice tomorrow. He was with us at 1:30. Enjoyed our conversation with Jay. I talked 30 minutes of baseball there at the end of hour number 1. It's a What If Wednesday. Talked a bunch of stuff. What if LSU loses on Wednesday? That was part of it. Dennis Allen sound as well as SEC Power Rankings in the second hour. If you missed any of it, catch it on demand. You know where. We're back tomorrow. Going to be chatting Saints, Patriots, and LSU Mizzou. See you then.
The world's leaders in obesity